Elizabeth was 15 when love found her in secondary school. It didn't arrive with roses or long, whispering phone calls. It came quietly, in the form of a borrowed pen and a shy smile across the classroom. Back then, in SS2, dating was a forbidden secret, so love had to learn how to hide. It lived in the small spaces between morning assembly and the final bell, in stolen glances and hurried conversations. His name was Samuel. He was the boy who always seemed to be at the water tap right after school, just so he could walk her part of the way home. Not all the way, of course. Just far enough to be together, but not so far that people would start to talk. They shared meat pies during break time, splitting one between them as if it were a feast. They passed notes scribbled on torn pages from the back of their notebooks, filled with inside jokes and small, whispered dreams, their biggest ambition. Passing WAEC together, side by side. But the love of secondary school is a fragile thing. Like a butterfly's wing, the pressure of exams began to mount. Parents started issuing stern warnings about distractions. Slowly, fear began to grow louder than their feelings. Then one afternoon, Samuel just wasn't there. He stopped waiting by the water tap. There was no argument, no dramatic breakup, no tearful goodbye. There was only a sudden, deafening silence. That night, Elizabeth cried. She cried not just because it was over, but because for a brief, beautiful moment, it had been so incredibly real. She told herself that time would fix everything. That once they graduated and went their separate ways, the memories would fade like old photographs. But some loves don't leave. They just learn to be quiet, hiding in the corners of your mind. Years passed. Life moved on. Then she saw him again. Not in a school uniform, but across a crowded room, in a world she no longer felt a part of. He walked right past her. There was no smile, no nod, not even a flicker of recognition in his eyes. And that, somehow, hurt more than the silence all those years ago. To be seen as a stranger by someone who once knew your every secret. She later heard through the grapevine that he had to leave school early. Life had been hard on him. His dreams had been forced to change. That night, Elizabeth cried again. But this time, it was the quiet kind of tears that adults cry, the ones that fall silently, without making a sound, because you've learned to grieve without disturbing the world around you. She realized that first love doesn't always die from a dramatic heartbreak. Sometimes, it just withers away from the slow, painful process of becoming strangers. One day, she decided it was time. Elizabeth finally stopped waiting for a past that was never coming back. While packing away her old school books, getting ready to truly move on, a small, folded piece of paper fell from between the pages of her physics textbook. It was a note. His handwriting, faded but still familiar, filled the page. She read the words, a mix of silly jokes and earnest promises, and for the first time, she didn't feel a pang of sadness. She just smiled. And then she let it go. She finally understood that healing isn't about forgetting the past. It's about being able to remember it without the pain. Then, on a completely ordinary day, at a completely ordinary bus stop, the past found her again. Samuel was standing there. He was older, quieter. Life's journey was written clearly on his face. But this time, he didn't look away. He saw her, and a small, hesitant smile touched his lips. They started to talk, not about the love they once shared, but about life, about the different roads they had taken, the dreams they had chased, and the chances they had missed along the way. He apologized, not with a long list of excuses, but with a simple, raw honesty in his voice. He told her about the pressures he faced, the choices he had to make, and the regret he carried. And in that moment, Elizabeth understood something profound. Some people aren't meant to stay in your life forever. They are meant to come into it for a reason, to teach you, to shape you, and then to leave. They are part of your story, but not your ending. When her bus finally arrived, they hugged. It wasn't the hug of former lovers, but the embrace of two people who had survived the messy, beautiful, and often painful process of growing up. As he walked away, Elizabeth didn't feel that old, familiar ache in her chest. Instead, she felt a sense of peace, a quiet acceptance. She realized that some stories don't need a new beginning. They just need a proper ending, one written with understanding and forgiveness. Just then, the sound of a distant school bell rang through the air, and Elizabeth smiled, a genuine, peaceful smile. She turned and kept walking, moving forward into her own future. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more.